Hello, and welcome to the history of distance education and learning. What is distance education? Distance education has come a long way in the last century and is rapidly advancing to this day. Distance ed is the teaching of knowledge through a media over a long distance and not set in a traditional classroom. Today it has become so widely available that it is almost assumed of a university to offer options online. Companies have even begun to use it widely for training purposes, and sites such as Skillshare offer lessons on just about any topic you can think of. But where did it all begin? Distance education was first thought about and attempted in 1728 by Caleb Phillips. He had tried to post his lessons through the local newspaper, the Boston Gazette. This didn't catch on, however, until the 1840s. Sir Isaac Pitman used correspondence through the mail system to send lessons to his students via post. By 1858, the University of London had become the first university to use this technique for its attempt at distance education. In 1874, the Chautauqua movement had sprung up. Education was too expensive and time-consuming for everyone to achieve at the time. The movement had become popular in rural areas and allowed for large gatherings of the population in a place that would provide basic education and condense traditional four-year learning experiences into lessons for the attending public. Speakers, teachers, musicians, entertainers, preachers, and more attended these events. President Roosevelt at the time stated that the Chautauqua movement was the most American thing in America. In 1892, distance education became a term first used by the University of Michigan in its pamphlet to advertise its benefits to the broader public. At this time, the University of Michigan had also begun to record its lectures on vinyl and was distributed to be played via phonograph. As the radio was invented in 1899 and quickly became popular, lessons were beginning to be broadcast even further. As technology began to develop and a television could be found in almost every home, lessons sought to be even more detailed and more widely distributed abroad. Lessons could be broadcast and later recorded to be kept and replayed. Eventually, lessons were more personalized and managed by conference centers to even be broadcast and shared over the phone. In the early 1980s, computers began being used to access classes online. Modern advancements have moved us into the internet age, and lessons can be taught in a variety of ways via the World Web. Over the years, distance education began to take shape. In 1826, the Lyceum movement began with Josiah Holbrook. The movement sparked lecturers to travel and deliver education on a broader scale. The movement eventually blended into the Chautauqua movement after the Civil War. Gagne gave us the 9 levels of learning, which applies to all academic environments. In distance ed, it is key to identify these levels to ensure success. From gaining the attention of a student not in the same location as you to retaining your distance learners, all 9 levels apply to distance learning and are arguably far more important as each is its own key to success. Dr. Michael Graham Moore developed a theory of distance education that stated distance education is not simply a geographical separation of learners and teachers, but more importantly is a pedagogical concept, implying that it's more than the simple fact that students are separated geographically while learning, but in that it implies its growth and relies on the interactions that take place between teachers and learners as well as learners and other learners. Distance education today has become a staple in many education pathways, and at times a necessity for certain groups to be able to learn. Some colleges have even converted entirely to online education. Online education has spread from undergraduate learning to K-12 learning and up to even doctorate level degrees. It's used for homebound students, those with families that can't relocate, to people in foreign countries, and even to inmates who wish to educate themselves to make a better life. The avenues that open to distance education offer themselves to anyone who is willing to learn.